don't think. Still a big lead for EDG at the top, and you need to start winning here if you're OMG, if you ever want to assault that top place in the standings.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, EDG really seemed to have a stranglehold on that one, and Vici...
Mid lane bans are plenty.
Yeah, I have to think that Cool needs some attention here. Of course, it's not like Barker, though, in our previous series. Cool can play almost everything, but you let him get Ahri and LeBlanc, he's going to take over a game.
A lot of respect shown to Dandy. You know, we seen him faceplant the wall jumps quite a lot, but he creates a lot of pressure on that jungle Nidalee, and Loveling likes to play it as well. They must respect, they expect the first pick jungle Nidalee coming through, so they ban it away.
Yeah, you do have to remember that Loveling likes the Jarvan a little bit more here, and there might be some focus towards that Rek'Sai at the same time. Dandy has had his best performances on the Nidalee and Rek'Sai as far as Vici are concerned, but Kalista going to be taken off the board here for Uzi. They don't want to see that one. Uzi just on a hyper carry in general, one that can play that effectively is just something they don't want to have to deal with.
And one that can really lane well. When we've seen actually, even today, Kalista's winning lane. Okay, some of those with some questionable plays coming out from well, but Kalista has more laning potential than, for example, a Vayne in a 2v2. So a safe hyper carry, that sounds like Uzi's wet dream. So just ban it away.
Yeah, get rid of it. Rek'Sai, of course, going to be considered here by Vici. They're not going to insta-lock it, but I would be very surprised if they take anything other than this champion at this stage, because...
Lissandra also available,
well, actually, that's a very good point, and Hatong can take that one away if he wants to. Going now has an opportunity to go for that one, or Cool, if they want to place that one into the mid lane, and you have to think that if Vici let that Lissandra around for the next round of picks, then things could go very badly here for OMG.
It seems like a reactive pick coming out from Gogoing. They're considering picking up the Lulu. You think they just don't want the unburrow into wild growth combo. Yeah. It's a blocker pick, but they're missing out on Lissandra. I feel like Lissandra has fallen through quite a lot in terms of priority today, despite seeing no changes. Hell, it's still patch 5.2. No one's seen any changes as far as the LPL is concerned. You can see the Vega bans coming through, but Lissandra is going to make it to the third round of picks.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, Hatong, Lissandra's in his match history. Like, that is a champion that he could be playing right now, but we'll see whether he decides to go for it. As, yeah, you're right. I mean, she's just been skipped over just a little bit. So
Graves, I think, will be a consideration at this point. Also the Lissandra. Of course, we can still say that very, very powerful is the Azir, so I can understand the Azir. It's a very safe blind pick. They're going to blind pick their mid quite early at this point, so the counter pick, last pick, might be a top lane pick, just because, again, we've already seen the mid come through. The Graves pick, no surprise whatsoever. Vasili's been picking it at every opportunity.
Yeah, it's true, and Cool looking very calm and collected here as he makes his decisions. And Loveling, no surprises, going for the Jarvan, and we'll see where this Lulu's going.
They need damage,
Atlas. Mid or top, and you're exactly right. I mean, what is Uzi going to bring here? Is it going to be the Juggernaut? And it is. Yet again, this is going to be a repeat performance of what we saw Snake doing in the last match.
It'll be interesting to see if they go full Juggernaut, if we even see a Morgana last pick and leave it all for Uzi. Maybe that's too much, maybe that's too far. That's literally get Uzi early and finish the game out before he gets big, but so far, that is a Juggernaut comp if I ever saw one.
Yeah, although Hatong now on this Azir here as well was banned out the last Juggernaut game that we saw. And he has a lot of carry potential himself, like has a lot of consistent damage with those Sand Soldiers auto-attacking everyone. And Carry looking to pick up his Rumble, and I love this. A little bit more early game focus, and we'll see whether Vici can actually close this one out, because that's what WE failed to do. They failed to capitalize on their early advantages, an 11-1-6 Ezreal mid, and couldn't finish the game before this Juggernaut just got out of control.
I think there was a lot of problems in that game, particularly. I mean,
that's a good point.
You have to mention that it was also double AD against a Mundo. Like, that's also a ticking time bomb. So it was Kog'Maw was going to get really big, and Dr. Mundo was going to laugh at physical damage. It was kind of a double whammy. So they either were going to finish it at 30 minutes or lose. So the loss came through.
Yep.
But there's mixed damage coming through from Vici. There's a very strong early game tilt, I agree. In the late game, so strong as this comp. But this is looking like a 1 damage comp if there ever was one.
Yeah, the Maokai is the consideration here, and I mean, we saw Flandre on that Maokai in the first game of the last series and wasn't really doing that much.
Wow.
The last minute switch over to Zed is going to be an interesting one, though, because that means that there is definitely not just one damage.
But that's a significant change at the last second, going from picking for top lane to picking for mid. So they're going to end up with going in the top lane as Lulu, wave clearing away against Rumble. And you're right, they add an assassin flavor to this comp. So they've got an assassin in the mid lane. Zed has a good laning matchup against the Tongue, forces out the exhaust. But that's a significant shift in strategy right at the last second.
Yeah, it means they don't have sort of an ignite here to stop that wild growth from being as effective. I'm not entirely sure whether that works out if Grievous Wounds is on the target, whether it works a little bit like, you know, the Zillion respawn, that sort of thing. But I don't think it actually does. I think
so let's just look at the lane matchup. It's going to be a lot of wave clear coming from Lulu trying to harass around Rumble early. And this is the jungle matchup we expected the moment Nidalee was banned. Yeah,
that's exactly right. Of course, both of these junglers favoring the Rek'Sai or the Jarvan 4. But Cool versus Hatong here in the mid lane. Zed versus Azir. And I don't really know how that one's going to work out. And we know exactly how this Graves-Kog'Maw matchup works early. And we know exactly how it works out late.
And from our previous experience, we're going to expect the lane swap coming through from the Kog'Maw. Of course, Kog'Maw, once he gets a few levels in Bioarcane Barrage, can do very nice trades against the Graves. But in the very early levels especially, 5-10 range and then situation only adding a little bit of range.
Yeah.
Level 1, level 2 Bioarcane Barrage, a bit of a struggle.
Yeah, it can get a little bit difficult here, but we'll see exactly what happens because, I mean, Uzi this time, he's got the Eye of the Storm here as well, which is going to help him out with that early trading. I mean, lots of range plus lots of damage. That seems like a pretty good combo, but let's get on to the Rift, ladies and gentlemen, and see exactly what happens. And here we are, ladies and gentlemen, with Vici taking on OMG. Our first matchup, Vici are going to be on our blue side, OMG on the red, and we'll see whether they're going to get these deep wards down to see exactly where this bottom lane is going to end up. And the thing that I'm interested in seeing is whether Uzi just says, I don't even care, I'm just happy to go into the 2v2.
Well, I mean, the one thing about Uzi is he has to be happy because this is the most Uzi-centric comp we've seen out of OMG all season. We got loads of supports. Okay, they threw in kind of a curveball with the last pick, Assassin and Zed. But I like the Zed pick because it has a good laning matchup against Hatong. It's forced him to pick up Exhaust, so he's had to go for the defensive summoner. Now he kind of has to itemize towards a Zhonya much earlier than he'd want to. He might even be forced to go first item, so not to have the CDR for as much flexible wave clear of getting the Sand Soldiers down, procking the early 30%, 40% cooldown reduction with the Stinger. And just as a further point, there's not really a clear split push person to deal with this Zed split push in the mid game. Rumble, he's going to itemize towards the Zhonya's eventually, but not going to rush it. And again, maybe Dandy with Globals if he can get a good enough neural network going in terms of tunnels, but there's not a big tank like, for example, a Scion to deal with the Zed split push.
Yeah, and they had the opportunity to pick a Scion, actually. That has sort of skipped the ban phase here as well. I mean,
not a big priority pick in the LPL.
Not quite so much.
I mean, only really Aluka's been bringing out that champion. The Rumble's much more popular, so understandably locked away. There's some great team fights coming through from Vici, burst team fights even, but they rely a lot on Marta getting an excellent box to combo the Rumble with. It's definitely not the Rumble Jarvan combo.
No, I mean, you've got sort of a soft Cataclysm in the box, don't you, a little bit? Sort of a
I mean, 99% slow is not that soft.
Yeah,
it's actually pretty crippling.
It's almost like running into a wall.
But it's a very squishy person trying to set it up, so could die instantly trying to get the perfect box.
Yeah, that being said, I mean, padding out Uzi's ability to carry starts very early here for OMG as he gets the very early level 2 here from the Gromp, even makes it to lane in order to pick up these first few creeps here as well. The lane swap to come through from Vici, actually. That's interesting.
Yeah, they're opting into the lane swap. Very, very interesting to see.
And is that just Vasily maybe feeling the pressure here, or?
I think it's more the Lulu versus Rumble matchup. I think it's just respecting that Lulu has a very advantageous matchup early against Rumble, but as with most Rumble matchups, give him 4, 5 levels, that matchup changes and becomes so much more difficult for the Lulu.
Yeah, it's a good point. Going trying to hang around and pick up some of this farm. The fast push actually happening, going to mean that Carry's going to teleport here to the bottom side, try and pick up mostly the experience here, as of course farming under tower, not exactly Rumble's favorite thing to do in the world.
Absolutely not without a few levels. And again, draws out the flash, so very aggressive pushing does get the reaction. I thought Loveling might try and path bottom to look for a very early turret dive, but low in the jungle, of course, we have to remember, on these patch 5 jungles, just that much more difficult to have the healthy ganking times.
Yeah, thankfully this isn't the Jarvan that's lost the armor on his standard here as well, as Carry going to be able to defend this turret out. Cool taking a lot of harassment here early, as you would expect. These Sand Soldiers just able to completely outrange Cool.
But he's actually used all 3 potions 3 minutes into the laning phase. There's a lot of harass, and there's literally, what, 450 health worth of potions being popped 3 minutes into the game.
Yeah, just terrifying here for Cool. And I mean, we haven't necessarily seen very much of this Zed-Azir matchup, but so far, looking pretty in favor of Azir.
Yeah, I mean, the early levels for Zed are always just kind of a navigation for him. He just wants to get through them. There's no real pressure he can exert. He's managed to get a bit of counter push happening, but that's opened up Dandy for the gank.
Yeah, the Unburrow comes through. Not able to follow up on this one. Of course, the exhaust was what Hatong took to this mid lane, so not the ignite kill pressure to come through.
Speaking of kill pressure, they're looking very aggressive.
Yeah, Going might be in a lot of trouble here as Marta and Vasily wandering around the turret, stalking their prey just a little bit. Vasily happy to tank up this turret as well. That true grit passive actually meaning that turret doesn't hurt too much.
I believe Dandy actually spotted out Loveling and realized the potential of the counter gank, the 2v2 coming through. So they backed away. Probably smart, but Lulu stays around the turret and gets a few CS.
And Dandy actually leaving a little popcorn chicken there as well, so that Loveling will have to clear that one out at his Raptor camp. Going actually heading forward a little bit to pick up some farm. Nice little shield. It's going to help him out there as well. As Death Sentence does land a Flay there as well here from Marta. Pops the little passive of the Flay there as well with an auto attack for some more damage. 350 health now for Going in the top side. He has to be very careful.
Didn't have Buckshot available because quite a long cooldown at early levels, so wasn't able to get the second burst trade through was Vasily. But no kill pressure just yet. And down bottom, the one thing you can say about Carry, not a lot of CS, but getting plenty of experience.
Yeah, he's able to just hang out in this lane. You can see that Scrap Shield actually working out for him really well here as well as Marta coming. Oh, the flash to try and get the Flay, but a little bit too late as Going going to teleport back to lane. He's picked up another Doran's Ring. A bit more health here in the top side, and he definitely has a lot more health. It's going to be great.
Yeah, the 2014 World Champion MVP gets nothing out of the flash. Actually opens up a potential gank target for Loveling in the top, but in the mid lane, Cool's taking a lot of damage.
Yeah, he's been exhausted here as well. The Sand Soldier's doing some work to flash over the wall as Dandy's looking to try and come in, and Hatong doesn't need him. Just the solo kill for the Vici mid laner against Cool, who we've been giving so much credit.
Yeah, the solo kill first, but it's a massive victory. It's the early pots, though, Atlas. He had no sustain coming through with just the longsword. Just harassed out of lane. Now, in a pretty bad spot, you have to admit. Exhaust not available potentially for the level 6 hit on Cool, but I don't think he has quite the damage to be able to take down Hatong.
Yeah, it's just really, really scary. Of course, Hatong had been back to base and picked up that Fiendish Codex as that engage happened. Now has the extra item just going towards that Morellonomicon. Going to have that cooldown reduction at 20% very early on. And this is getting scary here for the OMG mid laner, which is not something that we're normally used to talking about. As Dandy actually hanging around here looking to give Loveling a little bit of trouble, just comes in and smites away the Grump, and Loveling looks very confused.
He did look confused. He looked like he's like, what? Someone stole his lunch. That's how he felt, Atlas.
Yeah. Really sad stuff. Just leave him alone, Dandy.
That's probably the last time Loveling will ever be unhappy about being invaded. It's usually he's the one in the enemy jungler's face, but for once, just playing on the back foot.
Yeah, a bit of his own medicine coming through there is cool. Faking out towards this top side of the map, wants to get some vision down for himself. You see, find some tunnels here from Dandy, of course. Doesn't want to hang around there too long. Wants to make sure he's here for the experience. Death Mark's here, and does that change this lane at all? Because, of course, Emperor's Divide also available, which could be fantastic if he wants to get a Z off his face.
Of course, once he starts moving towards big pickups, but we see Dandy's in position.
Yeah, there's the aggressive Emperor's Divide comes through. The Unburrow comes there as well, and look at the Death Mark. Doesn't really do too much as it pops. Ignite ticks, but it's not enough, and Dandy got the Rek'Sai, and it's really doing some work. But Hatong on this Azir? Goodness me.
I just love the pathing from Dandy, understanding that the flash was down. Cool didn't have any tools to be able to escape. And I was about to say, just before that happened, unfortunately at that point, it was more likely to bait himself with the Death Mark than be able to pick up a kill. Didn't have the items behind it to do enough damage as the Equalizer used defensively to try and clear some minions.
Yep, still 5 left over there, so is he going to be able to get some more damage down on this bottom outer turret? But speaking of outer turrets, the mid lane outer for OMG is going down so low. There's an Arise and perfect amount of minions. Sets up his Sun turret, and Cool says, hang on, I'm not supposed to walk to this one. That's not mine.
And how early is that turret taken in mid? Zed not having a turret to retreat to is massive. Now more potential gank paths opening for Dandy. Maybe he can start moving his tunnel network even more aggressively to try and keep cool down. But at least at this point, Morellonomicon is the very early purchase. He actually went back, bought the parts of it, now went back and finished it. So you can see his confidence. Now that Dandy's been so aggressive, holding down mid, we see the second turret coming down in top lane. The big thing here, doesn't even feel pressured to build anywhere towards Azania. Is happy to go for the far more aggressive choice and disregard Cool.
Yeah, Cool actually picking up this blue buff here as well, and it's probably almost more for the experience at this stage. Dandy not going to find the Prey Seeker onto Going, but of course with that Tremor Sense going to know that he's hanging around. We focus here towards the top side, and Loveling going to come down and start off this dragon.
If we compare turret damage also, of course, we just noted that Vasily took down top turret in the bottom lane. That actually Rumble's turret is very healthy. The ability to use the equalizer to clear waves was a big boon in keeping up the health, although this probably means not going to be able to compete for this first dragon.
Yep, not going to be able to, of course. Hatong and Dandy were coming down, but a little bit too late.
And Rumble needs to run.
Yeah, Rumble needs to run, but he does have support coming. There's the equalizer coming through, and OMG having to use all of their escapes in order to get out. Loveling now getting exhausted, forced to use that flash, and look at the Sand Soldiers starting to do some work, but not going to quite be able to follow that flag and dragon. Loveling's going to be okay. So OMG get away with getting that dragon, but losing outer turrets across the map here.
And Vici Gaming, this is back to their plan A. This is back to Vasily pushing aggressively on Graves, dominating his lane. Okay, it was a 2v1, but they got the turret super, super early. Mid and top turret down before about 9 minutes in the game. This is going to be a third outer turret. This is such aggressive rotations coming through from Vici. And of all teams to have no answer, it's OMG who just look completely flummoxed.
Yeah, flummoxed is a beautiful word and so aptly used in this game.
Marta actually thinking about the hook, just goes wide on Cloud. Cloud on his Janna, we have to mention. We said already, we praise his hyper carry support play. He's very good on those Janna supports, but Uzi, he's kind of in no man's land.
Yeah, gets caught there a little bit, but Dark Passage going to help Vasily get back into position. Marta now playing further forward as the Living Artillery is now available at level 6 for Uzi. Going to really help him out as far as that poke's concerned. You
might wonder, why did Vasily back away with all his summoners and collateral damage available? Actually, they spotted Loveland coming into the lane through a ward, so smart to back away and just keep farming down in the bottom lane.
Yeah, just consolidate this lead even more. Of course, that's every outer turret dead for Vici Gaming, and now looking to keep up this map pressure. And you have to think that OMG picking up that first dragon, that's probably going to be the only one that they're going to have access to for the next little while if things keep going the same way, as Vici are really starting to look great in this game. And does this mean that early grouping is going to have to happen for OMG in order to start this Juggernaut comp off early, or is it just not sort of not going to happen here at this stage without Uzi having a couple of items?
I mean, Uzi definitely needs some items. Of course, if you're the MVP of a comp, as Kog'Maw is in the Juggernaut comp, you need the items to justify all the peel coming onto you. Otherwise, again, you need at least the Trinity Force for a bit of burst damage and a bit of flexibility and kiting in a fight. And to be honest, everyone needs some items. You need CDR coming down and AP coming down on the Lulu as well. They're not item tuned for any sort of fighting. There's no turret to retreat to. We might see teleports coming in.
Yeah, the teleport coming down. Uzi just gives up and walks the opposite direction. Collateral damage. There's the Ignite. Dandy picks up the kill somehow, actually. Loveling gonna fall down as well, as Hatong is a monster on this Azir. And teleport came in from carry, but didn't even really need to do much.
Loveling just dies in rotation to Hatong. As you mentioned, Hatong a complete beast at this point with the Morellonomicon sitting on about 1,800 gold as well. To be honest, you might wonder, okay, why is OMG so flummoxed? Well, I'm using that word again. I'm going to keep overusing it. The flummoxing comes from the fact that Cool was expected to win this lane matchup. Remember, they picked Zed last pick. That was their crown jewel, the 5th pick coming through, the last pick of the draft. And he's got completely dominated, even dumpstered by Hatong so far in this early laning phase. The exhaust was important in the early trade. It looked like they were going to miss out on a kill, but with the Dandy coming through, that kind of changed the path of the mid lane. And now Cool just can really do nothing.
Yeah, and I mean, a Zed that's been kept down this well is, like you mentioned, just not really able to make very much of an impact at all. OMG sort of forced to be dictated to, and we've seen OMGs when they look good are the ones controlling the map. They're the ones controlling the flow of the game. This game has looked very much the opposite of that.
Absolutely. The problem with the Juggernaut, again, you need so many variables before you're ready to group, and it's going to take so long to do that. And you can see with the aggressive wards that have already come through that they're going to have to fight for their own red and blue buffs, let alone any turrets on the map. The 2 turrets, it's very misleading. They're both sun turrets, so no massive objectives coming through for OMG yet. And they're just forced to early grouping because, you know, just left to their devices with no turrets to retreat to. There's so few safe places to farm. As Cool's caught again.
Yeah, he's caught in the mid lane. There's the Emperor's Divide to come through. He's not been ignited. Of course, no opportunity for that one. Deathmark dodges out a little bit, but it's a matter of time before Hatong gets the kill.
Yeah, the 4-man, 3-man group in top. Going to do some aggressive pushing. You might even see the equalizer come through to clear the wave. It will. And the counter push is on, and Loveling's in trouble.
Death Sentence doesn't land, but neither does the Flag and Drag as Loveling tries to create some distance using that Chilling Smite. There's the play as Loveling actually cataclysms just for fun. Didn't have Flash, didn't have Flag and Drag.
Look, to be honest, though, Loveling dying is much better than, say, an inner turret going down. They're finally getting towards the inner turret. They're not 4-man group. Vasily, importantly, is not there, and he has a lot of flat AD, but they're going to do a lot of damage to this turret. OMG's slow to react. It's going to go down. 4 turrets to 1 now, the turret score.
Yeah, but look at the wave that Vasily's prepared earlier here as well, crashing into that inner turret in the bottom lane, and that just opens up the rest of the jungle of OMG. This blue buff definitely going to go down here for Vici.
Yeah, Carry doesn't have teleport or equalizer, really wants to ping level 11 before he starts grouping, but the blue buff, as you mentioned, going to be stolen. Unfortunately, the big minion wave, not enough to prompt another inner turret, but it feels like Vici just piling on advantages. And look, we learned from the last game, this game goes very long, 40 minutes. Absolutely, Juggernaut is going to look wonderful, but it's going to be a lot closer to 30, 35 minutes than 25 minutes at this one. And Cool, he's caught again.
Yeah, Cool, again doing a little bit of what Uzi was all about, and heading towards the enemy turret. Living Shadow going to be used here. Gets a little bit of damage with those shurikens there as well. Just trying to waste the time of Vici here at the same time. Cool, though, as he walks through more of these turrets, he's just going to die.
It was almost a shooting range coming through as Dandy readied himself for the Prey Seeker. Okay, it buys some time for Uzi to farm, but you mentioned the Dragons. I mean, the Dragon's up at this point. I don't see how OMG are ever going to get in a position, at least in the next 20 minutes, to take a Dragon.
Yeah, it's not happening. 7-0 is the kill score. 6,000 gold at 15 minutes into the game. Vici just looking brilliant against OMG at this stage. And might it be just OMG not quite picking to their strengths here? And I mean, I personally haven't seen Cool Zed for quite some time, and I'm just not entirely sure it's working.
I mean, kind of what I would say is that OMG, they're about carry solo laners. You know, we remember the rises of back at Worlds. We remember, of course, Cool's Ari. I mean, he's on a carry champion. He's on the Zed, so that was the last pick that kind of threw a wrench in this team confidence. Is costing them at the moment 0-4 and 0. But I mean, just saying the words OMG running the Juggernaut is a surprise. That's not the team they're used to. That's kind of what throwing Uzi into the works does for them, because we'd never expect the Juggernaut if San was in the lineup, but it makes a bit more sense. If Starhorn Royal Club still had Uzi and running the Juggernaut, you're like, of course that's the strategy they take away from the GE Tigers. It doesn't seem to fit OMG, and they're just kind of at odds trying to work out what to do this game, but 6,000 gold, almost 7,000 gold behind. Their options are kind of minimal unless they can really extend this game. If Vici go for kills and go on a merry dance against a 0-4 Cool, maybe they'll be all right. But if they just start pushing turrets, there's no answer from OMG.
Yeah, Void Rush here onto the bottom side. Preyseeker finds Cool. There's the Emperor's Divide onto Loveling here, and Cool might just incidentally die. There's the death mark, but it does just seem to give Dandy an ability to maneuver Cool into his team.
I mean, Hatong, this is the first assassin Azir I've seen so far. He's the true assassin in this mid lane, deleting either Loveland or Cool or whoever he finds as he rotates through the jungle. And there's nowhere safe on the map. To be honest, Vici are absolutely doing the OMG stranglehold and taking everything away from an enemy team that OMG were known for in 2013 and beyond.
Yeah, and look at Carry's damage here with that equalizer. Cloud actually taking half of his health, and Uzi not doing too much better. And that wasn't exactly perfectly placed there as well. I mean, only a couple of seconds sitting on that, and that ultimate's really starting to do work, especially now that Carry's hit that level 11 mark, like you mentioned. And
the items have come through, the double magic penetration. So as you mentioned, the equalizer doing a lot of damage, but the items have also come through for Going. Close to 40% CDR. He's ready to start grouping. He's got enough mana regen and cooldown reduction to be very useful for this Cogmore. Uzi's got his first big item. Maybe the Berserker's Greaves would be nice, but sitting on the Trinity Force, it's only really Cool that's completely struggling for items. OMG will get stronger. Again, Vici need to take every advantage they can get. The most important factor for them is they need to break the base.
Yeah, they very much do. And I mean, I guess Cool able to relegate himself to split pushing here at the same time. Doesn't really matter that he's so far behind, 0-5-0 at this stage. I mean, he's going to be worth less and less gold, and that could be important, but he can also easily clear out a wave, and you can just as easily split push and be a minute.
At this point, split pushing, almost target dummy, almost zombie pushing is probably fine because it buys time. If the enemy wastes time killing Cool, they're not finishing the game. They're not necessarily taking turrets. They need to rotate from these kills, from this now 0-6-0, effectively a caster minion Zed, and need to push down these turrets. That's the big point.
But does Sun Turret going to fall down there in the mid lane? And exactly like you mentioned, Vasily able to take down this inner turret in the bottom lane. The last inner still standing is in that top side. 8,000 gold now, the lead at 19 minutes into the game. You have to think it's starting to look like a ridiculous level stomp here from Vici Gaming of all teams against OMG, who I admit I thought that OMG were playing a little bit interestingly last week with their matchup against EDG, but it seems to have carried through.
I mean, look, Cool on TF, the comp they ran in Game 1 was intelligent and they outplayed EDG, but we're talking about Uzi back in the lineup. The Juggernaut doesn't seem to suit OMG. They fell so far behind in the mid lane that the comp is kind of irrelevant, even though it's a good laning matchup for Zed against Azir. When you're 2-0 down, 4 minutes into the game, all kind of matchups kind of fall out the window. And Vici have just rotated so well. The key factor, though, is they haven't broken any turrets recently. They haven't been able to get a lot more of an advantage. The Baron maybe is even a realistic consideration, despite the fact that it just spawned. Because, again, this game is not necessarily on a timer, given how far ahead they are and how weak and trivial Cool is at the moment.
Yeah.
But eventually the Juggernaut is going to come into full swing, and it's going to be difficult if they haven't broke the base to ever push down and take down an inhibitor without a strong pick.
Yeah, Uzi now almost has his Phantom Dancer completed. We're starting to do some work here on this Kog'Maw, and you have to think when it gets to super late game, items don't make a difference. It will probably be the Kog'Maw comp that does come out ahead, especially in the hands of Uzi here, who has been relied on to solo carry games in the past.
And that's why Cool just walking down the lane, pushing as much as he can, wasting time if he's ever caught out is fine because he's causing pressure. Or look, at minimum, he's causing a distraction.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Vici Gaming now looking up here. They were trying to go for Vasily. There's the death mark onto Hatong, but immediately Zonya's the Emperor's Divide to stop any member of OMG coming in. There's the equalizer just zoning everyone away. Going's not on the tank that he's used to. The wild growth onto Loveling there. Vasily actually going to fall down here as Uzi's now in the mix, completely out of mana, but very healthy at this stage. So far a 2 for 2, now 2 for 3. As Loveling falls down. Mata taking a lot of damage from the turret, and Uzi, of course, who does a little bit more damage than that. He gets knocked up by the Unburrow here, though. May have overextended. A Cathian surprise to come through, and Vici made that look like they weren't quite as ahead as they otherwise were.
But remember, that was Vici face-checking and still going even in the trade.
That's
actually,
a good point.
Going 1 kill up, the crucial factor there, Uzi got greedy for the last auto attack. It would have killed Mata, but it seized his own... It cemented his own demise. And Vici, again, they're not picking up the structures. That's the one thing you can say. The Dragon's going to respawn soon. But OMG, with enough time, you can see that their team comp is still going to be very effective.
Yeah, cool. Able to slow down Dandy just a little bit as he tunnels through to try and pick him up, but not going to find it. Going's hanging around here as well as Cool. Just going to back away. Loveling going to find Dandy. Gets slowed down a little bit by Cloud here as well. And he's just more than happy to chill out and try and contest for this wolf throughout a Prey Seeker or two and let Mata turn up. And look at this Rek'Sai. He's just so tanky at this stage. Has the Randuin's, actually has a pickaxe in his back pocket as well. Wanted to build some damage.
I didn't even appreciate that he was the one that's benefited the most from all these rotations. Probably a lot of Cool's death has actually come out to Rek'Sai. 5-0-3, a snowball Randuin's warrior. And as you mentioned, just getting a bit more damage as Uzi is going to get assassinated by Hatong if he sticks around.
Oh, could be in a lot of trouble. Actually does manage to escape. Deathmark to come through yet again. Hatong going to dodge that damage. Oh, flashes after the Emperor's Divide and then uses the very cute WEQ combo.
He deserves to live, Atlas, but he's not going to.
Yeah, not this time. But he does waste a fair bit more time than he otherwise would have. And Vasily and Dandy going to get some free time with this inhibitor turret.
Let's see how much damage they're able to do. Breaking the base is the important factor. 2 people back blue pilling. Zed stays in the top and he now backs, and they're going to break the base.
Yep, they do manage to get that first inhibitor turret. You were talking about how important that is. Vici Gaming, they have to sacrifice their hero Azir in the top side, but he wasted a lot of time. There's the flash on Burrow here. No, Cloud's dead. Yep, I don't know why I got so excited about that one, because this Janna, not exactly that strong, or overtuned, as you would say.
Overtuned, huh?
In this one. And the inhibitor now going to be the focus from Vici Gaming. Down at half health, and Vasily just able to auto-attack from the backline really easily.
It's greedy to finish this off. As Cool has group, they're going to do just enough damage. Dandy actually goes aggressive. They need to be careful.
They do need to be careful. Uzi actually in the front line going very aggressive. There's the wild growth, but that equalizer does so much work onto the Kog'Maw, even after he just managed to get a double kill. OMG managed to clean up beautifully, as I believe that was a triple kill coming through for Uzi.
Triple kill with the passive, but such greedy play from Vici Gaming. You saw the back put, but they were like, no, mate, we can finish this off. We can get the inhibitor. They paid for it massively. And the amount of gold, and specifically experience, think about how over-leveled these Vici Gaming members were. Coming through onto OMG, this is still Juggernaut. There still is a pseudo-timer on this game, and Uzi's going to skip a few steps, find suddenly 1,600 gold in his pocket out of nowhere, and get much, much closer to a Kog'Maw that will be the prized jewel of the OMG lineup.
And I like this as well. He had the money to pick up that BF sword. He's grabbed it, put off that static shiv for just a little while, but that means that Avarice Blade can continue to do work, get him towards his items a little bit faster. Dandy, no fear at all of anyone on this map whatsoever. Has actually picked himself up another Giant's Belt and a Chain Vest here at the same time. Actually threading the needle onto Uzi somehow, Mata. How did you do that? As he might actually pay for it. Uzi does fall down though. And Cloud now looking to do some work. Oh, Hatong takes a lot of damage from that Acathian surprise, but of course he's still got his Zhonya's, and that pick was unbelievable.
I mean, to be honest, Uzi was unlucky that the person in front of him sidestepped, but you're right, the crown jewel was locked down, died. Didn't have the safe shift for a bit more movement speed, might not have made the difference. Vici going to break the last outer turret for OMG. Already have an inhibitor, as we know, and just try and cement their early in momentum and break the second base turret.
Yeah, they do have that first inhibitor down, as we mentioned earlier on, and Vici, they're going to lose all of their minions, but look at this inhibitor turret just get destroyed. Loveling cataclysms his way in. There's the equalizer, just using that combo like it was their own Jarvan. Really beautiful play from Vici, and Loveling just going to fall down for free. The flash hook doesn't find anyone here as the...
Jesus.
Oh my god, these auto attacks from Hatong are destroying. Cool now goes to 7 deaths, and Vici might just turn around and pick up the game.
Yeah, they find them super minions pushing into mid. They have a realistic shot at finishing it, beating OMG. They're still second spot, but it looks like it's going to be a very early finish.
12,000 gold lead, 26 minutes into this game. Vasily just auto-attacking onto these Nexus turrets. The Nexus gonna fall down, and this has to be one of the bigger upsets that we've seen, although there were a lot of them last week. The Nexus gonna eventually fall down after all this funny business, and Vici Gaming take the first game in our final series against OMG.
Vici Gaming did exactly what World Elite couldn't. They finished out a game before the Juggernaut became relevant. That's the big thing there. They managed to finish the game. Very impressive performance, specifically from Hatong. The 3-3-6 score doesn't necessarily reflect it, but the 5-2-8 on the Rex side was facilitated just by amazing play coming through in the rotations from Hatong. How many times did he delete either Cool or Loveling in transition between those fights?
Yeah, it was just beautiful to see, and their ability to take down structures as well. They saw exactly what OMG wanted to do ahead of time, capitalized beautifully, broke through the base, as you mentioned, managed to get the inhibitor turrets when they needed to. It was just beautiful play coming through from Vici Gaming, and unfortunately just not the performance that OMG wanted in this series.
Yeah, the real story here is can OMG's lineup troubles. The Uzi Cloud bottom lane just isn't working out for them.
No.
Juggernaut is just not a champion select that we expect coming out from OMG, and it kind of shows you why. The team just looked a bit aimless. Once the early deaths came down to Cool, they just had no idea of how to get back into the game. They rolled over and died in 26 minutes to Vici.
Yeah, so very quick victory coming through from Vici Gaming. We'll see whether they can keep this form up or whether OMG are going to try and mix things up themselves and come back with a victory, but we'll see after this break very soon.